Hi, I'm Dr. Abbas Malik and I am your instructor for this Flutter mobile app development. If you have not subscribed this channel, then please subscribe so that you can get the notification of our new videos. So let's start it. So in this lecture, we will be talking about understand what is SQLite and why it is used, learn how to integrate SQLite into a mobile application, explore the create, read, update, and delete operations on the database, uh, build a data model and then database helper, and then apply SQL to the real app features. So, what is SQL? SQLite. SQLite is a lightweight file-based relational database. No server required. In If we compare this SQLite with the MySQL or the Oracle database or the Postgres, then they require a complete server installation. But here we don't need that specific setup. So it is a file-based relational database, fast and reliable for the offline applications, perfect for mobile apps, persistent storage. It means we can save the data permanently, and then of course it will provide the cross-platform support for different type of the platform that are supported by the Flutter. So why need a local database? So first of all, we need an offline functionality. What do you mean by the offline functionality? Consider that you want to do a survey, educational survey, or some survey about the demography or about some social events, social norms, or the social uh, problems, and then you need to go into a remote areas, very small villages or the very remote areas where the internet is not available. Then how you can save the information that you are collecting in that survey? So that will give you an offline functionality. You save everything in the local database inside that device, and whenever you are back into your office where you have the access to the internet, then this data has been uploaded into the cloud databases or centralized database, okay, where you can run your analysis and data analytics and so on. So fast data access, again, if it is in the local database that is present some data, then we can access it very quickly. So it will give you fast data access. Structured and relational data, of course it is a relational database, and then we can save the data permanently. Again, that has been supported cross-platform applications. Sensitive local only data. So why need also sensitive local only data? For example, um, it is for example, you are want to process some informations like the financial informations of the user, and then you also have some uh, personal information that you want to save, but you don't want them to be saved on your centralized or the cloud database, so that you don't want to take up the responsibility that because if the data is coming to your cloud database, then you are responsible for protecting that. So what you do, rather than you are saving that data inside the cloud, you say that we want to save that data only in the local database inside your device, and then we have limited responsibility on protecting that data. So in this way, you can limit your uh, responsibilities. So rather than you are saving that sensitive data inside the local device, like the credit card information, the bank account information, some personal information about the user. So sensitive data can be only saved in the locally. And the other thing is sync letter workflow. Again, I have given an example when you go into the remote areas for the surveys and you are collecting the data, then whenever you come back and then you have the internet access, then you can upload that data to the centralized or the cloud database. The other thing is because the mobile data is very costly, so if you are uploading a very large amount of data using the cloud, using the mobile data plan, then of course it will you will have a big mobile bill. And to reduce that bill, you can say that okay, we can check inside our application that if the Wi-Fi, the which is the you are using in your offices or the home, then if that internet connection, Wi-Fi internet connection is available, then upload the bulk of the data, rather than using the mobile data to reduce your mobile bill. So that is also a sync later workflow that you can implement in your application. Large local data sets, we can save the data sets, remote or unstable environment. So I have discussed why we need this local database to save the informations. Then of course, these are not only two packages which exist, but these are the two mostly used packages in the Flutter applications to handle the local databases. The one is the SQLite, the other one is the Drift. In the SQLite support, that SQLite support transaction and the batches, automatic version management during the open, helpers for the insert, update, delete, and queries. So database operation in the backend thread, and supports Android, iOS on the Mac OS, but it does not support the web platform. So it has some limited functionality for different type of the platform. But on the other hand, Drift is provide you a flexible, feature-rich, modular, safe, fast, cross-platform. It is supporting all the platform, trusted, tested, and production ready. So these are the some differences. And then if you exactly compare a learning curve for the SQLite, you don't need to spend much time to learn how to build the things. So the learning curve is very low. But on the other hand, in the Drift, you need to have spend some time to learn how you can build the application using the Drift package to handle the SQLite database in your Flutter application. So you need to spend some time to learn that thing. Type safety, there is no type safety available in the SQLite, but on the other hand, Drift has the excellent type safety. Boilerplate, again, you need to write the SQL queries that you want to execute on the in the SQLite, but this is not there. So it's a medium or the low level of the boilerplate code inside the Drift. Runtime safety, easy to make typos. So because we are writing the queries and we need to make sure that our database model inside the database and inside our application, the names of the tables, the names of the columns should be exactly the same that we are using inside our queries. So sometimes it creates some typo errors, and they are only visible or the realized that there are some typos at the runtime. It means that when you are testing your application, you need to do a very thorough testing so that you can remove those kind of typo errors that can be easily made using the SQLite package, but are almost impossible to do that in Drift. The reason is that we are defining the classes, and then inside the classes we are defining the database model, and then we don't need to write those queries or very low I mean low usage of the queries that we need to have that one. So that's why it is almost impossible to have that kind of errors inside a Drift. Complex queries and joins, again, manual SQL. So we need to write the manually SQL. We write SQL queries and so on. And if you are not good at your what you can say that if you are not good at the database structured query language, then it will create some problem. You need to learn more about that. So Fluent Dart API. So we have the on the other hand in the Drift we have the APIs that can do everything for you. So you don't need to write the queries. Performance is more like the same for both of them, SQLite or the Drift. Reactive streams manual, but there in the Drift we can have they are built in into that specific Drift APIs or Drift package. Schema migration, again, we manually migrate from the previous version of the database to the newer version, but very good built-in support in the Drift. Latest support, again, complicated, limited. As I told you that it has limited support for the. I think there is no support for the web for the SQLite, but for the Drift it provide you the cross-platform support. So that is also a win situation for the Drift. Web/desktop support, limited experimental, but on the in the Drift it will provide you the full support for that one. Maintenance and risk, they are both stable. So if you look at on the last column, so Drift is running a lot in the lot of these different type of aspects. But I will give you the flavor how we can use the SQLite first, then how we can build the application, use a simple application to do task, and then we are going to rebuild that same application using the Drift so that you can have the both flavors for the SQLite package and the Drift package. So let's start with the SQLite building that application to do app. So first of all, of course, we need a packages. We need two packages, which are the SQLite and the path. Path is more like where we want to save that database file inside our device. So we need to identify that def so path. So that is why I am importing the or installing that specific package in my application, and then we can using that package we can find those paths, and then we can combine those paths, we can manipulate those paths, and then create that. And of course, SQLite is required to build that database file. So first thing that we need to do is write a task. I mean, we need to complete a task. We have a task model, and that task model will help us. It has only two integer types. One is the ID, which is the primary key of the table. Then we have a status, and then we have the content. And this is the simple constructor for this task or class, which for which we need to provide the ID, content, and the status. The next thing that we need to do is we need to build a database service. And inside the database service, first of all, what I am doing here, so we are saying that this is a singleton class. And then if you look at that, we have created this database service dot underscore construct that is a what you can say that empty constructor of this class, which is private as well. So we can only execute this constructor within the class. And when you say static final database, so it will only create this one instance of this class, a single instance. So if whenever we want to access that one, we will access that single instance of this class, and there will be no other instance can be created inside this project. The other thing is that we also have a static database variable, and then the next thing that we have defined the names of, so that we can avoid those typo inside our what you can say that the SQL queries. So rather we define these table. We have a table name, then we have a column name ID, we have a column name content, we have a column name and the status. So ID, content, and the status column names and the table name. So we define these variables. So whenever we are writing a query, we will be using these variables rather than typing these names by ourselves. So that will help us to avoid as much as possible those typo errors that we may make during the when we are writing the queries by ourselves. The next thing is that we need to have this get database method inside that class. And then here, first of all, what we are doing, we are using that path. We say get database path. So it will give me the directory, the location at which I can save the database. And then using that one join, we are joining this directory path and the name of the file together. That will give me a database path. And that is the path that we are going to use to create the database. So we say await open database. That open database is a method which is coming from our what you can say that from our SQLite package, and then we are giving the path. So we want to create this specific task underscore db dot database db class db file at that specific location. Then we are telling the version number. Then we say when we are creating this database, then we are going to execute this query. Actually, we are creating this table inside our database, and that will be saved. Of course, in the beginning it will be empty, and then at the end we are going to return the database, and that will create get mean that database. So get database, so that is more like what you can say that get method for the database. And then we are say check if the underscore database, the private static variable, if it is null, not null, then return the database. If it is null, then what we need to do, we need to create using the get database method. We are going to create this database and then assign it, save the reference of database in our underscore database method, and then you variable, and then we are going to return that variable back to the calling method. Then we also have a create method, so we can insert a new record. So again, if we look at that, when we are creating a new task, what we need to IDs are going to automatically create it because it is auto incremented. Number one thing. And the second thing is that when we are creating a new task, it means its status is 0. It means it has not been completed yet. So what we need to create a new task is the content. What is the task about? So what is this task? So the description of that task, you can say that. So we are going to do that. So we say final db is equivalent database. So we are getting our database. Once we get our database, then we say again using this method will help me to get the database. So once I get the database, whether it is created, of course, if we are accessing that database for the first time, then it will be created. Otherwise, it will return me the previous reference of that database file. So database.insert, so we are inserting that one, and then we are saying that which table, and here we are, the first argument is the table name. So in which table we want to insert something. And then the second one is I need to provide an object. So if you look at that, I am providing the values. So we say content column name, and then what will be the value of that column, and then the content status column name, and then here we have the value itself. So what I am providing an object, or what you can say a map, that is going to be inserted into a new record inside that table name, which is the task. The next thing is that, again, first of all, we are getting the instance or the reference of our database. Once we get the database, then we are running the query. Okay, we are reading something. So when you say read, we are have a query method. Then again, what we want to read, we want to read from that table name, which is a task. And then we say it will give me back. So we say we have this data. So we are converting that data into a list of tasks. So if you look at that, for every element which exists in that data, we are going to create a task object, and then we are converting that into a list. So that will save into this tasks list. And then at the end, we are sending back as a response the list of tasks so that we can display that data to our user. Again, in the update, the first thing is we need to get the reference of our database. Once we get that, then we say db.update. We have an update method. We want to update the table name, that is the task, and then we are giving the new value. So we want to update the status of the column. So we say status column, and then we are giving the status value, the new value which is coming in as an input. And then of course, if we just write this thing, yeah, if we just stop our method at this point, then what will happen? It will update all the records. So we need to apply the where clause so that it will only update a specific record inside our database table. So we say where id is equal to a parameter we are going to provide. So where args is equal to this one. So wherever the id of the record is equal to this input value, okay, then it will update the status of that record. So it will update only one record. If that is does not exist, this id does not exist in our database, then it will not update any record, and then of course it will not do anything. And then similarly, we also have a database delete operation. The first thing is that we need to get a database reference, and then we say db.delete. We want to delete from this table, and then again we need to tell which record we want to delete. So where id is equal to the id value which is coming as an input to this method. So these are, and this is the application. So let's start with an application. So what we want to do here, so first of all, I will say Control Shift P, and then I want to build a new Flutter project, and then I want to run application. So let me go to this one, and then here, and then we select this folder, and then here I say that we have this lecture 06, and then we have to do underscore app underscore SQLite package. So I will just save that thing. When I do that, it will of course create that application for me, the default application with the Git repository. Don't do that. Just ignore that thing right now. Okay, and it has been created. So the other thing is that if you look at my application, so this is already running, and we can start with developing that model. So first of all, we need to build that model, which is the, what you can say, that the task. So I can come down here. I will say that the models. Okay, so let me rename that. Where's the rename? Here it is. So it is the models, and inside the models, we are going to create a new task dot dart. And then here we are going to create a class, and that will be a task. And inside the task, we have the final variable int, and then we have the ID value, then we have a status value, then we also have a final that is will be a string value, and then we can say description or the content or the task name. So let's stick to the content, and then of course we need to have a task, and then this will actually require required this dot id. Okay, and then we say required this dot uh, content, and then we have required this dot status. Okay, so once we do that, so we are done with our task. Now the next thing that we need to do is create that database service class. So again, we come into the lib, create a new folder, we say services, and then inside the services we create a new, we say that it is a database underscore service dot dot. So here we can say class, and then we can say database service, and then inside we need to create. So first of all, I say we have a static uh, final, and then we have a database service. We say instance is equal to database service dot underscore constructor. Okay, so of course we have not created that constructor, so what I will do, I will create that database service dot underscore constructor. So we can create that one. This is an empty, actually we should write something like this, but as you know that because it is an empty constructor, so we can just simply write like this, so it will also work for me. The other thing that we need to have the static variable, so we say database. So we okay, first of all, I mean, before we can start doing that one, we have not installed our packages. So what I need to do, let me open the terminal, and then I need to Flutter pub add. Uh, we have SQLite and the path. So if you look at our yaml.com, then you can see that SQLite and the path variable has been included. And then just to be on the safer side, we say Flutter pub get. So we get these packages if they are not being downloaded. So now if I just try to go down here and I say static final database. So here we have this S database. So we create this thing, and then first of all, okay, I need to give the underscore database. So that will be our, what you can say that we are saying that it can be a null value. So here we are just creating, making sure that it will be only a single instance of that, and then we have this database. So what next thing that is, if you remember that I just defined these variable names, okay? So let me, the name of the columns and the tables. So let me copy that thing from here, and then I save these things. So values has not been used, so we don't need to worry about that warning. So now the other thing is that we need to have that database. So first of all, what I need to do here, we say future, and that will give me back a database. And then we say get database method. Then this method is async, and then inside we say we have a final, again we have a database directory, or path is equal to await, we are awaiting, and then we say get database path. So when you say get database path, so it, if you look, go up here, so it is actually is coming from the database, and then we say we have the final, again we say database path is equal to join. So if you look at that, this is coming from our path. So we are joining that. We are what do you say? We are working with the path. So that is the path library which we have installed here. So it has imported the path for us. So now what we need to do, we need to say that we have a database directory path, and then we need to combine it with a string value, which is the name of the database. So again, here that's a name. It should be a .db, but we can say that my database, or the to do app database, to do underscore app dot db db. So it will save that. Now once we have set up the location where we want to save our database, now we say again final, we say database is equal to await, we are awaiting, and then we say open database. Again, this open database method is coming from the SQLite. So if we need to give the path first, so let me first do that, and then I need to give the path. So again, we say database path, that is our string. Then we say version number, then we need to provide the version number. And then the next we say on create. Okay, on create method. So in the on create method, we if I just save it, so we have the db, and then we have the version, and then we are going to have this method. So if we save that information, so we have this information. So now inside here, what we want to do, we want to create. So actually it has opened that database for us. So that database is coming, it has created this database on this path, that file name, and then using that db, we are going to execute a query. So when we say execute a query, again we need to provide an SQL value. So if we want to provide an SQL value with multiple lines, then we need to have something like this. Okay, so I say create table, and then we say dollar underscore task table name. We want to create this table, and then if you remember the query, we need to provide the values like this. Let me put this thing here as well. So here, and then here I can say that what are the columns that exist. So again, we have defined the names of those column task, not underscore task, and then we have the column name id, and then this is our integer value, and then it is a primary key. We say save it, and then we say dollar underscore task, we have a content, and then this is our text value, and then we also say not null, it cannot accept the, it cannot be empty. And then we can also say dollar underscore task, and dollar underscore task, and then we have the status column name, and then we say this is an integer value, because inside the SQLite we don't have the boolean value, so we can say 0, it means false, and 1 mean true. So that is what we need to work with. That again, I say that this cannot be a null value. So what we it is expecting, so expecting something, so what it is doing. Okay, finding an exception. Let me check what's the problem here. Find, expected to find this thing here. Okay, so here, yeah, so we don't need to provide that semicolon. So we just need to provide that this thing here. Okay, let me check again. So we are saying this thing, and inside this method, we are saying that db.execute, and then okay, what is happening? Should be something like this, but what is, why it is not accepting me? So let me check again. So we say open database, that is closing at this point, and then after that we need to return the database. Okay, so we need to return that database, but what it is saying, that why it is not saying, because this is the db dot inside this method we are executing this one line. So when you say one line, so it should have been, what you can say, that we should close it with the semicolon. This is the one line. Okay, but let's see. Uh, it looks fine to me. So we have this database starting here. We are providing the database path, then we have version name, then we have on create. We want to execute this db.execute. And after that, it should have the, okay. Anyway, so let's see. I mean, we will, once we will do that, then it will be much more clear. So we say value is not used. So now I need to, what you can say, that create that future. It will give me a database. Okay, so give me a database, and then we can say that we have a, uh, get database, and it is an async, and then we are going to check if underscore database is not equal to null, then we are going to return the underscore database. Okay. Okay, and then we are going to else part. In the else part, what it will do, underscore database is equal to get database. Okay, and then of course we need to wait for that and get database, not get database part. We say get database method, and then we say return underscore database. So in this case, we are the value of the database cannot be, okay, what it is saying that, let me check. Returned from, okay, cannot be returned. Okay, so what we need to do here, we need to put an exclamation sign here so that it is not, so underscore database is equal to get database. What is happening here? So we say database cannot be used as a set because it's a final. Okay, so what I need to do here, it is not a final, it is a static. Okay, so we cannot make it final because we want to change it. And then of course, when we are returning it again, we need to put that exclamation sign to for a null checking. So that is all I suppose from here so far. And the next thing is then what we need to do inside this method, we need to also build the methods that are for the add task or the delete task and reaching all the tasks and so on. So we say void add, we add task, and then this add task will take a string content as an input value, and it will be an async method, and then it is going to final db is equal to wait, and then we say database. Okay, so it will give me that database, and then we say await db dot insert. We want to insert. So what is the table name? So we have the underscore task, that table name, and then we are telling the value. And what will be the value? Value will be something like this. It will be a map that we are going to provide with the key value pair. The first value will be task content, and then the value will be the content string value which is coming in. And then for second value, it will be the status, and then of course the default value is 0 that we want to put here. And then in this way, we are going to add that, what you can say that, insert a new record inside our database table. And then we can also say when we want to future, it will return me a list of task. So that is our task class. And then we say get tasks method, and it does not have anything inside. It is an async method. And then we are going to, first of all, we say final db is equal to await database. So we are getting this database. Once we have this database, we say final data is equal to await, and then we say db dot query, and then here we need to provide the underscore task table name. So we provide that table name. It will read that table for me and then assign putting the everything inside. So here we are say we want to create a list of the task, and then we say tasks, and then equal to data dot map. So when you say map, so we are going to say uh, uh, element, or it is a T, and then we are going to convert that into a new task. And here we need to provide the ID value. So we say T sub underscore task ID value. Where is the ID column name? And then we are going to say it is as an int value. And the next one is the content, and again we say T and sub underscore task content table name. When we save it, it is not going to. And then this one is the T, and then we can say that underscore task, then it will give me a status column name. And then we also need to tell that this is as string, and this one is as int value. So once we save it, let me put the semicolon at the end. Okay, not here. Expect you to find a semicolon, that we are running this dot map, and then inside the map what we need to do, okay, we need to convert that into a two list as well. So once we do that, everything is working. So we have this task, and then after that one we say we are going to return the tasks. That is a list that is we are going to return from this method. So this method, okay, let me move it a little bit down so that we can see. So we are getting the database instance. We are reading the table data from the table, and then we are converting that data into the list of the tasks, and then finally we are returning it. The next thing is that we need to do is the updates. So we can update. So again, we don't. I mean, in the slides we see that we can only update the status, but of course we can say update task method. So here we need the two values. Number one, the int value, and then we also have the string. For example, a new content, new task, we want to change the task descriptions inside, and then we can also, for example, a new status as well, int uh, status. So we can also have something like this, and then we can do that. So again, first of all, we are going to get the database is equal to database, and then once we receive it, we need to say await. Okay, and once we have received it, then we can say that await, and then we say db dot update, and then we say update. So first of all, I need to give the table name. So I say task, where is the table name, and then here I need to give the values, the new values that we want to save. Okay, so we are going to provide these values. The first value is the underscore task, the what you can say that the content, and the value will be the content as a string which is coming in, and then underscore task, the status value, and that the value is the status. So if you finish that method here, then what we'll do, it will update all the records, but that is what we don't want. So inside this method, we say where, and then we are going to give a string value. We say id is equal to question mark, and then we need to provide the where rgs, and then we say the id value. So now we are saying here, so update this table, update the content with these new content column with the new content, status column with the new status value, where the id is equal to the id which is coming as an input to this method. So here we are updating the complete. We can also, let me what you can say that copy this thing, and then we can say that we only want to update the task status. Okay, and then in this case we don't need this string value, and then of course once we don't have this string value, we don't want to update this thing, and the remaining will remain same. So here we are updating the content and the status, here we are only updating the status. So of course that is a possibility, we can do that. The next thing is we want to delete something. So again, we say delete task, and it will take an int value, id value as an input, and then it will be an async method because we are using the await. So again, final db is equal to await, and then we say database, and then once we have this database, we say await, and then we say db dot delete, and then here we need to underscore table name, and then once we are giving the table name, then we also need to tell that where, and then we provide the id is equal to a question mark, and then we say where arguments, and then where arguments we provide the id value which is coming as an input, and then we put a semicolon, and it will delete. So that is the end of our, what you can say, that the database service that we have implemented. So next task is to, I mean, of course, we need to open our main database, main dot dart, and then we don't need this thing. So I will just remove that specific part, and then here I say create a new pages, and inside the pages we say our home page, home underscore page dot dart, and here we have a STF stateful widget, and then we say home page, and we save it, and then here inside where is the remain. So I will, rather than I say this thing, I don't need this thing, and then here I say home page. So when I do that, it will of course will give me, what you can say, that we have this specs. So let me remove it, and then we have this uh, home task. So right now we don't doing anything. So what I need to do here, I need to what I need to do, I need to first of all, inside our inside the state of our that page, we need to create the database. So we say final database service, okay, and that will be our underscore database service, and that will be equal to database service dot instance. So we are going to get that instance, and then we also have the, what you can say, that now what we need to do, we are, instead of, rather than we are returning, we are going to return a scaffold, and then inside the scaffold we are say that body, and then inside the body is actually we are going to create a future builder, because we are future builder which builds from the future. So future is what? Future is something that we are going to get the from our underscore database service. We are going to get the tasks. So that is our future. Okay. So we get the task. So it will get it. Of course, it will return me the list of the tasks that are expressed. So here in the builder, what I need to do here. So we say that we are going to provide the context, and then we are also providing the snapshot. So snapshot, okay, that snapshot is actually is coming from the this snapshot is actually representing this data which is coming from this future. Okay, so that is a snapshot we have here. So none, we say return, we want to return uh, list view builder, list view list view dot builder, and then we have to specify certain items here. Okay, so again, I will just put a semicolon at the end, and then we can say item builder. So we first of all, item builder, we will do that, but what I need to do first, I say we have the item count, and item count is actually the snapshot dot data, and then we can check the what you can say, that dot length. So if we are checking, if it is not there, then it will be 0, and then here I can put a question mark here. If it is I mean, it is not null, then it will get me the length value. Otherwise, we are assigning the 0. Okay. So this is one thing. And then the here again, we need to build a method here. So we say we have a context, and then we also have the index value, and then we are going to build that method. So inside the build method, we say task. So task will be is equal to a task, and we say equal to snapshot, and then dot data. And if it exists inside exists, then I will try to get the index value. So whatever that first index, second, and third index value, we are assigning into the task. And once we assign it, then we are return. I mean, we once we have this data, then we are returning a card, and then inside the card we are putting some margins or the add insets dot all I say 8.0, and then the next thing is we can say that elevation again I will say 5.0, and then the next thing is shadow color. I will say colors dot gray, blue gray, and then we can say that we have a child, and that child will be a list style. Okay, and the list style, we are going to provide the title. So title will be equal to the what you can say that uh, text, and inside the text we say task, and the task dot content, so that will be a value. And then we have the what you can say that leading. Then leading is more like a checkbox. Okay, and inside the checkbox we need to provide a value, and that value will be depending on the uh, task dot status is double equal to 1. Okay, if it is 1 double equal to 1, then check it. I mean we are just if it is equal to 1, then check it. It means that this task has been completed, and whenever we are changing it, we are going to update the values. So we will here we need to provide the new uh, value, and then we are going to provide this method here. So we are going to check first of all the whatever the new value is. So we are need to do, I say, database service, and then we want to update database service dot update. Oh, why it is not dot update task, or it is up and date. Okay, so let me go here and then change the spellings which we make a mistake. So up, and we say update, and then we also have update here. So let's save it, and now if I just come back here, I say up, and then we want to only change the status. So I will give the id value, so that is the task, that task dot id, so whatever the id is. And then for the task and then for the new value, we are going to give the new value as an input. Okay, so new value, if we are going to, because we need to send the 0 or 1 value as an input, so we say equal to uh, true. If it is equal to true, then send 1, otherwise send 0. And that is our we say yep, whenever we are the value has been changed, what we are expected here, so we need to do that. Okay, so what we are doing here, so let me explain one more thing. First of all, we are reading the future. Okay, because it is a async method which is returning a future. It will return me a list of tasks, and then we are building. We have a context and the snapshot. Snapshot is actually represent the data which is coming from this future, and then we say item count snapshot dot data dot length. If it is not null, check give me the length value. Otherwise, we put 0 over there. And then we are saying that content index, and then task is equal to snapshot of the index, and then we are putting that everything in a card, and inside the card we are putting a list tile, and in the list tile we have a title which is the actual task that we want to do. And then in the leading we are having something which is the checkbox, which has the value. If it is equal to 1, then it will be true, it will be checked, otherwise it will be false. And then if the value is changed, I mean we are checking or unchecking that checkbox, then it will change value. So whenever the value is changed based on its value, true or false, we are sending back to update the records inside our database. The next thing that we want to do here, we also have a leading, and then we also need to have the one more thing is the trailing. When you say trailing, again, it is an icon button. And inside the icon button, of course, we want to have this method. I don't want to have this thing. And then inside the icon, I can just say we need the icon. And then we say icons dot delete. Okay. So right now we are not doing anything. So what I need to do here, whenever I press on this specific button, then I want to, from the database service, I want to delete the task and I need to provide the IC. So I say task.id and that will go into that month and then it will it will delete that specific task for us. So I think that we have all done the except that if we I mean this is our body, and after the body you can say that scaffold future builder. Okay, and here we are the inside the body. What do I need to do? I also need to have that floating button that is going to help me to add a new task. So I say floating action button, and then we say floating action button, and then of course we do this thing that is going to be displayed over there. And then we are going to, we have an on press, we will talk about a little bit later. But first of all, let me, what you can say that this is the on press. I will put it into new line. And then I say tooltip, and then we are giving to say add a task. And then we are also provide the child, and child is our constant icon, and then icon is more like icons dot add. Okay, so if we do that, and then here what I need to do, when I press on that icon and I want to show a new dialog box. Okay, so I say I want to show dialog, and inside the dialog we have the context, so it is a context, and then we have a builder. Okay, so let me put these things inside a new line so that here we need to build a builder. So builder is more like something, I can say that whatever is coming inside that index, I want to build this method, and then I need to put a semicolon here. I think that I need to put, let me first do that, and then body might completely normal. Okay. So what I need to do here, I need to say we want to send back return uh, alert dialog, and that alert dialog we need put a semicolon here, and then inside the alert dialog we say title, and then we say it is a text, and in the text we are saying that add task, and then after that we say we have the content, and then content is actually a column, and inside the column we have the main axis alignment, main axis size. Where is the okay, so we are saying that main axis size, where is the, why it is main axis size, and then we say that main axis size dot min. Okay, and then what I want some children here, and inside the children's we have a text field, and inside the text field we have we say we have some decorations. So let me put some decorations inside it. Okay, so putting some decorations here, decoration input or border, and then hint is a new task. And then we are say whenever we are changing it, whenever on change, we are, the text field is being on change, the underscore task is equal to a new value. So we are actually specifying that these tasks, so actually we defined a variable here. So this variable is actually a string type, and it will be underscore task. Okay, so we are putting that task. So that is what we are putting here inside this. So it is actually going to show me that information that we are putting inside. And then we have then after this a text field, what we are doing, we are putting an elevated button, and inside the button we want to do something. But first of all, let me put something here. So we say text child is a text which is uh, contain the add task. Okay, and then inside this one, what I need to do, I need to check if that underscore task is double equal to null, or underscore task dot is empty. I mean, there is nothing inside, then we will just return the value. And if it is not the case, then we are saying that database dot service, then we want to add a task, then we need to provide it, and then we say provide underscore task. And then once, of course, we need to provide this thing value, we are checking that thing. And then we want to set the state. So set state underscore task is equal to null value, and because we want to change it back to the empty thing or a null state. And then we are going to say that navigator, not navigation bar, so we say navigator dot pop. So it will pop that specific uh, dialog box which is appearing in front of the our screen. So here we say is empty. Again, we need to check the null safety. So once we did that, so it will pop up at the end, remove that dialog box from the screen, and then we have updated our task. So it will show me the task inside the list of the tasks. So that is the end of our application, the GUI design. So let's cross our finger and run that application. So we go to the main. Where is the main? So here we have selected a device. We have this device running. So let me bring up that device here, and then we can run it. So it is running. So let's see, because it is running for the first time, so it will take some time to execute, to compile everything, and then finger cross it is running perfectly fine. And if we are done, then this will be the end of this lecture. And in the next lecture, I will tell you how we can build the same application using the Drift package. So let's wait for some time, and then so now it is coming up, it is trying to install, it has installed, it is trying to run that application. So right now, if you look at that, we don't have any task inside our base. So we can say that, for example, uh, wait for the next video and add a task. So you can see that I have added this task. I can also say that build to do app. Okay, so I just add this task, and then we can say what you can say that record video for the to do app with drift. Okay, and then we say add. So now you can see that we have this one. So I have already built this application, so I can say yes. Now it is not updating, so let me see what is the problem. Okay, so when we do that, actually it should where is our home page? So let me do something like this, and I just try to put that in here and then see what is the problem in our application. Okay, so we are clicking on that. So if I just refresh my page, let me see if it is showing me that. Look, it is showing me, but it is not updating my application. It is not updating. So when I click on the task. So what is happening over here? So what I need to do, I just need to go where we are doing it. So here we are updating the status. The problem is that after that we need to say set state. So when I do that, and now if I just refresh my application and then remove it, so you can see that. So because we are not updating the status, I think the same thing on the trailing button as well. If I delete it, it is not going, for example, if I delete this thing, it is not removing it for me. So what I need to do, I also need to say set state. So when I do that, so remember that as soon as I save it, automatically show me that this, and if I refresh my page, that record, I mean, what you can say that the first task has been gone. So if I do that, so you can see the problems. If I delete it, so everything is deleted from my database. So I can add more tasks. So again, I can check the status, I can delete it. So you can see that. So everything is working perfectly fine. The only thing is that we need to make sure that we are executing the set state whenever we are deleting or updating or doing anything with the database. So it will automatically update our GUI. So that is so let me recall. So first of all, we understand why we need the SQLite, the database, local database, where we are save the data permanently, and then we use the SQLite package to work with the database. So that is what we have covered in this video, and I hope you have enjoyed. And then if you enjoyed, then please subscribe this channel so that you can get the notification of the new videos that I'm going to upload on the Drift package, how we are going to use the Drift package to build the same application. So that's all for today. Thank you. Have a good day.